Welcome back, everyone. It's Thursday. The season is winding down. Cancellations and renewals are being announced, but we got 3 shows to talk about tonight. We have S.H.I.E.L.D. just renewed for Season 5. Yay. We got Arrow, and we've got The Flash. So let me know if you can. You guys can hear. Okay, you guys can hear me. Great. All right. Anything else? No. Okay. All right. Watch it with the spoilers in the chat room. Don't spoil anything for people who don't like to know what's going to happen. And let's get started with this week's episode of The Flash. Almost there. We're almost there. The Flash, Season 3, Episode 21, Cause and Effect. Savitar explains his origins to Barry. They're a little confusing, but it's more of an explanation than we usually get when time travel is involved. There's a short fight, but we can't wrap things up with 2 episodes still to go, so they don't finish that. Back at the lab, Cisco has the idea to block Barry's memories, which, through some very convoluted logic, will stop Savitar from remembering anything. But something goes wrong, and Barry can't remember a thing about his life. The rest of the episode is, I shit you not, a lame-ass, unfunny amnesia story played for laughs. In the B-plot, Killer Frost shows up at the lab. She just walks right in. Security measures, what are those? And she wants them to give Barry his memories back, which will then give Savitar his memories back, and she's going to help them do it. So they work together, and they give Barry his memories back just in time for him to put out a fire started by a metahuman who didn't go to prison because amnesiac Barry couldn't testify properly. So he's got his powers back, and then they just let Killer Frost leave. They don't try to stop her. They don't try to slap the power-dampening cuffs on her. No. Fuck all that noise. They just let her leave. Also, the speed trap is going to need a bigger power source than the sun. Because comic books. And the one that they need has just been found by King Shark, who was supposed to be a prisoner of Argus, but now, for some reason, is not anymore. Okay. This episode started out all right. The scene with Barry and Savitar is good. We're getting information here, explanations for things, sort of. The acting is good. They're trying to explain a couple different things, but as usual, the writers are doing a piss-poor job of it. Savitar says that Team Flash shunned him because he was just a time remnant and not the real Barry. Why? They would never do that. It's completely out of character for all of them. Why would they act that way? Because the plot demands it. So that was fucking dumb. That was his whole justification for turning evil, too. I mean, they're basically saying that Time Remnant Barry turned murderously evil and became Savitar because his friends didn't like him anymore. Literally, that's all it took. His friends didn't like him anymore, so he turned evil and decided to become a god so he wouldn't feel bad. That's Savitar's origin story. What is this, fucking kindergarten psychology? Jesus Christ. And since Time Remnant Barry is basically an exact copy of the real Barry, it means that the real Barry is capable of turning out like this too. So in the last 2 episodes alone, we've learned that all it takes is a little tiny push to turn the Flash into a depressed shell of a human being or a remorseless killer with a god complex. Our hero, everybody! And then they start talking about time travel. Oh, God. I almost gave them credit for this. Almost. Because it seems like they actually tried to plug a long-standing plot hole here. How Eddie killing himself didn't wipe Eobard Thawne out of existence. It seemed like they were trying. I almost thought they were trying, but they weren't. Okay, the line is, that's the thing about time travel. The more you do it, the less the rules apply to you. Okay? Now, the casual observer might buy that as an explanation, but that's not what it was. Because it didn't actually explain anything. This wasn't the writers trying to fix a mistake and plug a giant plot hole that they left 2 years ago. This was the writers finally realizing, 2 seasons too late, by the way, that what they had written made no goddamn sense, and trying to retroactively retcon it just by saying that the rules don't apply because we said so. Essentially giving themselves carte blanche to do whatever the fuck they want, free of any restrictions at all. If the rules don't apply, we could just do whatever. We could take the rules of time travel that we established, which were completely arbitrary to begin with, and just throw them in the trash. This wasn't an explanation. It was just fucking laziness. Oh, by the way, if the rules don't apply to Barry anymore, then why the fuck can't he just go get the completed speed trap machine from 2024 Barry and bring it back to the present? If the excuse is that he was worried that doing so would fuck up the timeline, well, that's not an issue anymore. He wouldn't be causing any ripple effects. He wouldn't cause any alien genocides this time because the rules don't apply to him anymore. Right? 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 Fuck this show. So they take away Barry's memories, and the rest of the episode is the dumbest fucking shit in the world. There are 3 episodes left in the season, including this one. Now is the time to be ratcheting up the tension, not dialing it back with some lame-ass, supposed to be comedic, but really it's just fucking stupid amnesia subplot that goes nowhere. The narrative basically gets put on hold here so they can waste an entire episode on this crap. Barry doesn't remember that him and Iris are a couple. Ha ha ha. Barry doesn't know that he works for the police department. Ha ha ha! Barry has to testify to put Heatmonger in prison, but he doesn't remember anything about the case, so Cisco has to feed him lines, and then he has trouble with the glasses. Ha ha ha! It was so fucking lame. Ugh. This isn't funny. It's not charming, it's just asinine. I mean, for fuck's sake, they do this to hurt Savitar, and then they barely show Savitar. They spend the whole episode focusing on Barry doing, like, stupid amnesia shit that's nothing but a bunch of filler so the episode can make it to runtime. This was so fucking dumb. But anyway, it does succeed in giving Savitar amnesia. I'm not sure how or why this works. I mean, shouldn't this be affecting future Barry? Why would it affect future Barry's time remnant? That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if Barry has amnesia, wouldn't that line then go through his future self and not a clone he made of himself in the future? Why would it affect the time remnant at all? That doesn't make sense. Neither does Savitar having amnesia, meaning that Wally doesn't have powers anymore. What the fuck? That was confusing. Some people on Twitter were saying that if Savitar doesn't remember anything, then him and Barry never fight, which leads to him never giving Wally powers. But he already gave Wally powers. Okay, this would only make sense if the Savitar from in the future that hasn't happened yet was going to travel back in time to give Wally powers, and the amnesia stops him from doing so, but that's not the case. Savitar already gave Wally powers. That already happened. So how could the amnesia stop him from doing something that he already did? Maybe somebody else can explain what they were going for here, because I did not understand this at all. Alright, then Killer Frost shows up in the lab. Oh my god. She doesn't trip an alarm. She doesn't show up on a security camera. Doesn't alert them to her. They're not alerted to her presence in any way. She just walks right in. So Cisco can fortify the Arrow Cave so much that even Team Arrow have trouble getting into it, which was the actual plot of an episode last week. He can rig up an alarm system that goes off whenever a metahuman so much as sneezes anywhere in the damn city. But when it comes to Team Flash's own base of operations, it's like the tightest security they have is a fucking revolving door. The bad guys can just walk in whenever the fuck they want. How many times has this happened? I don't even know anymore. I mean, wasn't he supposed to have put in all these new security measures a while ago to stop this very thing from happening? What happened to all that? Okay, maybe Caitlin knew how to circumvent them. Okay, but that just means that nobody thought to change the security measures the second she went rogue to make sure this very thing couldn't happen. I mean, Jesus Christ. These are the dumbest smart people in the history of television. Did they really think this was going to hold water? Oh my God. And then, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Then, get this. They're working with Killer Frost to restore Barry's memories, okay? And Cisco, he's trying to bring Caitlin out, all right? He's trying to tug on her heartstrings by mentioning Ronnie and, working on the particle accelerator together and all the good times they had before the Killer Frost thing happened. And he's doing all this instead of, I don't know, putting the power dampening cuffs on her so she'd turn back into Caitlin. I mean, we just saw last week that he can beat her in a fight if that's what he was worried about. He could have fought her again, subdued her, put the cuffs back on her. But guess what? He wouldn't even have had to fight her to subdue her in this case, because there's literally an entire scene where she has her back turned to him. He could have just, look at this. Look at this. All right, just check this shit out. She has her back turned to both of them. Wasn't even expecting Cisco to do anything. Her guard is down. And Cisco isn't even fucking looking at her. He's talking to Julian or some shit. He's having a conversation. Just one fucking vibe blast in the back and she'd be out fucking cold. Then you could just put the fucking cuffs on her and she'd be Caitlin again. Problem solved. That's all it would fucking take. But no, he doesn't do anything. He just tries to talk to her. Because that always works out so well for Barry, right? So then after Barry gets his memories back, they let Killer Frost leave. Yeah, they literally just let her walk out the door. They don't try to fight her. They don't try to subdue her or stop her. They don't try to put the cuffs on her. They don't even put a tracker on her or anything. They just let her walk away. After last week's episode ended with Savitar saving her from being captured by them, like grabbing her and zooming off somewhere with her when they were right about to capture her. Here they have her, a chance to recapture her, fucking handed to them gift wrapped, and they just let her walk away for no reason. Jesus H. Christ, I hate these people. You know what? You know what? Any innocent person that Killer Frost hurts or kills from this point on is their fault. Because they could have quite easily recaptured her, turned her back into Caitlyn, but they chose not to. Flash writers, this is for you, right here. Oh, and you know that speed trap gizmo that, according to Future Barry, it took Tracy Brand 4 years to make? 4 years. Took her 4 years to make it. Well, she built it, and this time it only took her a week. Yeah. 4 years, now just a week. No explanation for that either. How the hell did she build it so fast this time? Beats me. They never addressed it. I guess the rules just don't apply anymore. So the writers don't have to bother with silly stuff like explaining nonsensical things so they make sense. Not that they ever bothered to do that before. The one catch is that in order for this thing to work, it needs a power source that generates more energy than the sun. More energy than the sun. That was an actual line that was said out loud. Turns out such a device already exists. More energy than the sun in a contraption about the size of a watermelon. That's a thing now. And it's not even the most absurd thing they've done this season. But yeah, this thing exists. The problem is King Shark has it. Because apparently King Shark escaped from Argus off-screen at some point, and Argus never bothered to inform the people who originally captured him, preferring instead to just let King Shark run amok and steal a device powerful enough to blow up entire planets. Because even Argus are goddamn idiots on the Flash. I hate this show so much. So, I guess next week will be all about Barry in a race against time, battling King Shark for control of this power source, trying to acquire it before Savitar murders Iris. Even though there's a perfectly good one just sitting in a lab somewhere in 2024 that he could go pick up instead and save himself a lot of hassle, even though he could easily just send her to Earth 3 and keep her safe from Savitar that way. Another week, another downright piss-poor episode of The Flash. These writers are just embarrassing themselves at this point. My God, this show sucks. 2 more episodes to go, guys. Just 2 more. Can we talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 tonight? Sure, go ahead. Let's save it for afterward. Let's save it for the end, because we got shows to talk about first. Seems dumb to me that with only 3 episodes left in the season, they would do a comedy amnesia episode instead of keeping it serious like they did in the first 3 minutes. Yeah. Complete tonal whiplash. It was fucking dumb. The narrative momentum was, like, completely halted. Now they've got to get that back. It wasn't unfunny. No, it was. It was very unfunny. But it was wildly inappropriate for the period of the story arc they're in. Like, this was supposed to be 6 episodes ago, not 2 seconds from the finale. 6 episodes ago? I would argue that it should have been before they found out that Iris was going to be murdered. If they were going to do it at all. I'm starting to think that Caitlyn's deal is psychosomatic. She's so afraid of becoming like Earth 2 Killer Frost that she believes having the powers make her evil, therefore she is. Can you explain more? Not sure I get that. That being said, I enjoyed it as a comedy. It was retarded to have it at this point in the season, but it was actually funny. Opinions may vary on that one. I thought it was fucking stupid. So the reason why Wally lost his powers when Barry slash Savitar lost their memories is because Savitar is the one who gave him his powers to begin with, so no Savitar, no Kid Flash. But he already gave him his power! Savitar already gave Wally powers! The only way this might make sense if the Savitar who lost his memories before he gave Wally powers, but that already happened! You're giving him amnesia after he gave Wally powers. This doesn't make sense. So what was Savitar doing this time while he was with amnesia? There was clearly nobody watching him. We need a filler episode of Savitar just wandering around in that suit, no idea how to get out of it. I thought that's what this episode was going to be about. By all rights, it fucking should have been. The explanation about how Savitar came into existence is kind of interesting because it delves into theoretical physics and myth. How? Barry creates a time remnant, then Team Flash don't like the time remnant, and the time remnant becomes evil. Real Barry is the ultimate mama's boy, and God forbid that he loses his friends to a ticking time bomb. Yeah, so, his time remnant becomes evil because Barry is a horrible character, basically. Yeah, that sounds about right. Closed time-like curve is the name. The idea is basically this: if you fuck up the future enough, the past then becomes part of that future. It's kind of crazy, but there's some grounding to it. Alright. Probably over my head. If I had to, I would say Caitlin would be the most likely to die. It seems to me that they are grooming Tracy to take her place as the brainy girl on the team. I hope not. I like Caitlin. This show needs every likable character it can get at this point. But you might not be far off. I guess he was created by being abandoned, not from Iris dying. He wants to kill Iris so Prime Barry can become Savitar. Well, yeah, he needs Iris to die because Barry only created the time remnant after her death. So if Iris doesn't die, yeah, he doesn't get created. Yeah, I got that part. So yeah, their explanation is weird, but it kind of does have a place in quantum physics. Don't blame me. I'm just a nerd who works at Home Depot and reads sci-fi. At the end, Cisco said that the energy needed for the device, 3.8 terajoules, was more than in the sun. 3.86 terajoules is like 3.86 times 10 in the power of 12 joules. Alright. Anyway, this episode isn't terrible, but it's not that great, so 6 out of 10 could have been worse, but so can a kick in the genitals. 6 out of 10 is being generous. The sun produces 3.8 times 10 in the... It's 100 trillion times the energy the device would need. I found this out with a simple Google search. 8 times 10 in the power of 26 joules every second. That's 100 trillion times the energy the device would need. Okay. So the short version is their science sucks, and they should fire their technical advisor. See, Wally not having powers is because Dr. Alchemy gives Wally powers, so future Savitar gives Dr. Alchemy powers. So if the amnesia stops Savitar, that never happens. But again, they're giving amnesia to the Savitar who already gave alchemy powers. Okay, I think what you're getting at is that the amnesia should have affected Savitar at the moment of his, at the moment of his creation. Because if we're just giving him amnesia now, if we're giving Barry amnesia now, thus altering the timeline, then I guess the time remnant would have amnesia too, once it gets born. So it would already have amnesia, so that would stop Savitar from even being created or something like that. Oh, God. Give yourself a migraine trying to figure this shit out. Prediction: Julian will sacrifice himself to bring Caitlyn back. I don't know. I heard somewhere that Julian was going to be on the show next season. I don't know if that's true or not. Again, it's not a perfect explanation. It's complex and silly sounding, but it does follow logic, and it's my job to go to a bus station in a week. If it's my job to go to a bus station in a week, which is how you buy your house 10 years ago, and I don't go there, you never buy the house because I never fulfilled my future destiny. It's weird and stupid, but yeah, kind of still weird and stupid enough. The Flash is fucking stupid. Yeah, no arguments from me. Dumbest smart people. There is a term for that trope, but I forget it. It's a trope where in fiction where geniuses are always portrayed as being stupid or unworldly for the sake of the plot. Book dumb, I think is the name of the trope. I should also state that if something produced as much energy as the sun, it would generate such radiation as to effectively sterilize the human race in seconds. The reason the sun doesn't do that is because it's millions of miles away. Millions, not 10 or 12. Yeah, well, but this is the universe where a battery smaller than an iPhone can power an entire building. So, needless to say, their science is not really accurate. I would have loved it if Fourth Dimension Fool Killer would be Savitar the whole time. Oh, God. Why would you bring him up? Don't I have enough shit to deal with in reviewing this show? Would you call Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a mix of The Matrix and Pinocchio with the whole glad Ghost Rider and put the framework thing to bed forever? Matrix and Pinocchio? It's actually not too far off. For this season, anyway. Ghost Rider is the reason I started watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, cool. I just started watching Supergirl and Flash, also just a year ago, also in AOS around 2 years ago. Is it worth going back and watching them from the start? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I've only seen like 2 episodes of Supergirl, like 2 or 3. I haven't really been keeping up with it. From what I gather, season 1 was less frustrating. All I really know about it this season is what I've read on Tumblr, and from what I can tell, a lot of people are kind of fed up with it this season because of the whole Mon-El character is like really unpopular or something like that. Flash season 1 was probably less frustrating than seasons 2 and 3. I wouldn't recommend going back and starting from the beginning, because I kind of think it's just gotten progressively worse. But I can't make that decision for you. I feel the Flash story is getting ridiculous. Yeah, no kidding. Wouldn't the clone just disappear if he lost his memory? Presumably, yeah. Because if Barry lost his memory, that would mean he never creates the Time Remnant clone in the first place, so Savitar should just cease to exist at that point. But, I guess the rules just don't apply anymore. Same reason why Eddie killing himself didn't wipe out his descendant out of existence, because the rules don't apply anymore, so they can just do whatever the fuck they want. Caitlyn thinks the powers are evil, so she believes she is evil, just like someone who thinks they're sick, but when you give them a sugar pill to feel better, they are not really sick, they just think they are. I don't know. Sounds like kind of a weak explanation to me. Closed time curves are kind of weird. Did you watch Dragon Ball Super on Adult Swim? No, never got into Dragon Ball, actually. I do like some anime, but never got into Dragon Ball. So all the weird, crazy shit is just that weird and crazy, impossible to verify or deny. That's the Flash for you. Yep. think Dr. Alchemy should have been Savitar. Yeah, Julian was always way too obvious. At least the time remnant being Savitar is a little bit unexpected, sort of. With Ada, okay, guys, just for future reference, I like to go show by show here, and I like to stay on topic. So, I'm a little ADD, so staying on topic kind of helps me with that. So if I'm talking about like Flash, don't ask me about Arrow or Shield. I'll get to all of them, but save the questions for the show when we're talking about the show. Okay. Julian should definitely have been Savitar, but unfortunately they wanted a twist, so here we are. Well, Julian was way too obvious. I mean, it was obvious that he was Alchemy. If it was Savitar, it would have been obvious then too. So all the signs were pointing to him. Anywho, enough about that. Let's move on to Arrow. Season 5, Episode 21, Honor Thy Fathers. A corpse is delivered to the mayor's office, and it turns out the corpse has Oliver's father's fingerprints on it. So while Oliver tries to figure out how to deal with that, the team is tracking Cody Rhodes, who, along with a bunch of other criminals, was put in jail by Adrian Chase, is now back on the streets and dealing with stealing a bunch of chemicals with which to recreate a plan Adrian's dad had to, I don't know, give the whole city hepatitis or something. Because evil. Anyway, Oliver meets with a lawyer or somebody who represented Adrian's father, I think that's what it was. And the guy gives him a flash drive that Adrian gave him to give to Oliver. And on this flash drive is a video of Oliver's dad accidentally killing that corpse that was delivered to the mayor's office earlier. So Adrian gives the team the runaround for a while until they track him to a building where the team takes down Cody Rhodes, surprisingly easily. And then Oliver fights Prometheus to a standstill and then reveals that Adrian's dad was going to disown him, so him fighting Oliver to avenge his father is kind of stupid. Then Adrian just gives up and surrenders. And somehow it appears that being locked up at Argus may have been what he wanted all along. Also, Renee schedules a hearing to get his daughter back and then no-shows. I guess because he's going to be a regular cast member next season, so we can't resolve that too quickly. I'm not sure why, but I really struggled to find anything to say about this one. Which is weird, because they finally captured Prometheus. You'd think that would be a bigger deal. But since that seems to have been his plan all along, it's like, okay, we're going somewhere else with this, but where exactly? I don't know. Most of the things that stood out to me about this episode were the smaller, awkward moments, or things that just felt kind of phoned in. Like when Oliver and Dig are in that trap and the room is filling up with cement. Yeah, they have to call Curtis and Dinah, who are staking out Samson, to come in and help them. At the rate that room was filling up with cement, there was no way they could have gotten there in time. But the way it's edited together, they make it look like Curtis and Dinah got there in like a matter of seconds. Literally. I mean, they had to drive to the building and get up to climb up a bunch of floors and find where the trapdoor was. But no, they got there in like seconds. How the hell did they reach them so fast? So, yeah. Also, how did Adrian get that footage of Oliver's dad accidentally killing this dude? For that matter, how did he even know it existed when the dad went to such lengths to cover it up? Beats me. Then there's Samson. Alright, nice to see Cody Rhodes back. But why even bother bringing him back if you're going to do practically nothing with him? I mean, seriously, he's only in like 2 or 3 scenes. And he gets taken down in a pretty underwhelming fight scene by one sonic scream from Dinah. I mean, this is a guy who's supposed to be super strong and can't feel pain, but one canary cry and he's out like a light. Wow, that was easy. And all told, the return of Samson was kind of underwhelming. It just felt like this part could have been played by anybody, and he was just a place filler. Yeah, speaking of underwhelming fights, Oliver versus Prometheus wasn't that good either. And you're trying to fool us into thinking that this is their big climactic showdown. They needed a better blow-off fight than that. because that wasn't any better than average, really. I mean, it was so underwhelming, you pretty much thought there had to be more to it. So everything involving the Prometheus stuff wasn't all that interesting, really. The B and C plot buoyed the episode somewhat, though. Oliver and Thea trying to come to grips with their father being a murderer and covering it up. It's good character stuff, and I really like that there wasn't a take back at the end. No, their dad really killed that guy, and they have to deal with it now. Also, really nice to have Thea back finally. I feel like we've barely seen her this season. And that sucks because the scenes with her and Oliver can usually be counted on to be really good. And then there's Renee continuing this subplot of trying to get his daughter back and struggling with the notion of, well, maybe she's better off without him. I like the scenes with him and Quentin quite a lot. Yeah, Quentin relates to Renee as one dad to another and wants Renee to get his kid back so he can be the dad that Quentin can't be anymore. And the bond that forms between them because of this. It's a nice relationship that's developed there. And I was rooting for Renee to get Zoe back, but I have to admit, for now, it's probably a more interesting story if he didn't show up for the hearing. Now we're acknowledging that Renee has some self-loathing and self-worth issues that he's going to have to deal with. It's a failing, it's a character flaw that he needs to resolve before him getting his daughter back as a possibility. Alright, that gives the character something to work on next season. Okay, fine. So those two subplots are perfectly serviceable, and they helped save the episode somewhat. But I get the impression that the Prometheus storyline is kind of running out of steam here. We've got, 2 episodes left in the season? And it feels like the momentum got stalled in this one. Maybe because I thought they were going to dive into Prometheus taking Oliver's son, and then they never addressed it. And they're saving that one for the finale, I guess, but why not touch on it this week and keep that ball rolling, you know? Yeah, this episode just didn't get my motor running. Not terrible or anything, it was just kind of meh. So that was Arrow. Oliver didn't know that Chase has William, so I guess it was all part of his plan to get caught, and then it'll come out next episode. Yeah, I guess. So what, is he gonna blackmail Oliver into breaking him out so he can frame the Green Arrow for breaking him out? Oh, one more thing. Oliver said in the press conference that the Green Arrow and his team helped them capture Prometheus. But the Green Arrow is supposed to be a cop killer, as far as the public knows. So Oliver's saying that a cop killer was working with the police to capture this guy? Weird. This episode was fine until the end. The end was fucking absurd. So was the thrust of why Oliver's dad was so evil. Apparently Oliver's dad killed some guy. Okay, why? Like, I know it sounds bad, but there are 100 reasons to kill someone that are justified. Sorry, not to... Yeah. The video isn't their dad raping a child. It's him accidentally knocking a guy off the ledge during a shoving match. We don't know why or what circumstances. Yeah, definitely. I mean, he obviously didn't do it intentionally. They were having a fight. The guy fell into the vat of cement. It was an accident. I guess covering it, if he just reported it might have turned out okay. Maybe accidental manslaughter or something? I don't know, I guess that was bad enough in his mind, so... I guess he was committed once he covered it up. They kind of spoiled Kovar showing up in the flashbacks when they showed Dolph Lundgren's name in the opening credits. Yeah. Sorry, but if I murder a serial rapist during a home invasion, am I really a bad guy? I kind of saved some people by making a mistake, so just write it off as helpful idiot. Yeah, I don't think too many people would blame you for that one. Do you think Ragman will return in the season finale? Possibly. I think his storyline has kind of been wrapped up, though. CW show plot holes are ridiculous. You're telling me. More so, why did Prometheus just give up so easily? Like he went through all of this, nearly died 3 times, and just gives up after a talking to. Okay, no. Like, yeah, Oliver could have been lying to him, as far as he knows. Now, apparently he wanted to get captured for some reason, but it was weird the way he just seemed to give up so easily. It's like Oliver didn't suspect something was weird about that. I expected this to be some massive finale fight with Prometheus dying or something, and it ended with a little chat between them and he surrenders. I know. Overall, I was unimpressed. 8 out of 10. Do better next season finale, please. 8 out of 10? Really? Being pretty generous. Well, we got 2 more episodes to go, so... Kind of hate the Prometheus character. Hate him because he's so evil, or hate him because he's a bad character? Unimpressed compared to other Arrow episodes, which are usually balls to the wall. No BS. I wouldn't... Alright, I don't know if Arrow's great all the time. And there's certainly been hit and miss since Season 3. Was this the finale or not? If not, then we have to really pull some no-bullshit maneuvers to make this all make sense. It was not the finale. No. There are 2 more episodes. Yeah, Oliver could have been lying. I expected he was. Why the fuck did he surrender so easily? What the fuck, Arrow? Yeah. Yeah, not a perfect episode. Okay. Moving on to S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., rather. Season 4, Episode 21, The Return. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which just got renewed. The announcement just came out about 3 hours ago. So that's good. Anyway, The Return. Coulson and May have to fight off the Superior, who is now an army of robots controlled by a brain in a box, who is planning to sink the oil rig they're on and drown them all. They manage to escape, and Fitz appeals to Ada's newfound humanity, getting her to save Mac. But after the framework, the team has some trust issues, which gets Fitz and Ada iced for their trouble. They return to S.H.I.E.L.D. HQ, which is now a smoldering wreck, and get accosted by Talbot, who thinks they're all robots, and with good reason, because he found Mace's corpse and a bunch of other stuff. So he's in a suspicious mood right now. Meanwhile, Fitz makes the mistake of telling Ada that he still loves Simmons, and to say that Ada takes it badly would be an understatement. So Ada starts killing everybody with a surprising number of inhuman powers at her disposal. Apparently she can do a lot more than teleport, and the team barely escapes with their lives. Then it gets worse because the Superior has been reading the Darkhold and has figured out a way that Ada can destroy this world and make the framework the new reality. But just when it seems like all hope is lost, Robbie comes back from hell. To be continued. I gotta give it up to Ada here. The acting MVP of the week. This episode belongs to Mallory Jansen. This is the biggest Ada episode of the season, and she freaking owns every second of it. I mean, she takes Ada through every emotion in the book, from joyous to confused to terrified to proud, to kind of loving, to vulnerable and understanding, to genocidally evil. The fact that she could pull off all these different variations and emotions and make them all work in the same character, in the same episode no less, was really damn impressive. I mean, I'd say she should submit this episode for Emmy consideration if it wasn't a comic book show, and therefore not taken seriously by the Emmys, but she really was that good. And more than anything else, this episode is an examination of Ada, who she was, who she is now as a human. The robot who wanted human emotions, who tried to mimic human behavior, who gained humanity, became a real person, but then gets punched in the face with what that really means. And having emotions might sound great to a robot, but there's a lot of pain that comes with that too, which she was really not prepared for. And it's really well done the way they set this up. First she's just so happy to be able to feel things and thinks that her and Fitz are going to be together and in love and everything's going to be perfect. And it's almost kind of hard to feel bad for her here because in a way she was almost as much a prisoner of her programming as the team were prisoners of the framework. And she was just doing what she was programmed to do. So it's almost kind of hard to fault her in that way. I mean, yeah, she was manipulative, she did bad things, but the way she perceived them, she thought she was helping them because she didn't have the capacity to understand in emotional terms exactly what she had done. But now she's a human. Now she's happy now. She can feel joy and all that good stuff. But the second something goes wrong, she has no idea what to do. But Fitz appeals to the empathy that she has now as a human, gets her to do the right thing, gets her to realize that maybe the framework stuff was an error and she wasn't helping these people after all. And he even gets her to do something that frightens her, and she saves Mac. The big bad actually saves one of the team because she thought Fitz told her it was the right thing to do, to have empathy for other people. And she did a good thing, and it makes her feel wonderful. She even understands that the team locks her up afterward. She understands why they lock her up, and she wants to be forgiven by them. But she goes, oh, maybe they have to make me feel bad to understand their own pain or whatever. She's getting it. There's good in this person at the moment. She really makes it feel as if her empathy is winning out. But then the other shoe drops. Because when she finds out that her desire for her and Fitz to be together is not going to be fulfilled, oh my god. It turns ugly real fast. And the scene where Fitz and Ada are talking and Simmons is watching on the monitor, it's really heartbreaking stuff here because the writing is so insightful and they're all acting the shit out of this. And the writers are kind of making it look like Fitz thinks him and Simmons are done because he thinks she'll never forgive him for all the stuff he did in the framework, and besides, in the team will never trust him again. And besides, he's a one-woman man, and it seems like he's leaning towards Ada because he thinks his future with Simmons has been killed. He killed it. And this scene is fucking phenomenal. Simmons is crying, Fitz is hanging on by a thread, and Ada is getting happier. And she's moving in closer like, oh yeah, Fitz gonna come get some of this now. Hell yeah. And it's sad, but it's also kind of touching at the same time because you buy that there is a real connection between Fitz and Ada. And Ada especially really feels something for him. And I'm watching this, I'm going, yeah, I see what you're doing, show, and I'm not falling for it. You're not fooling me, but you're fooling Ada. And that's all you needed to do because Ada really thinks Fitz is about to choose her. And she's starting to actually put herself out there and allow herself to feel vulnerable with Fitz. But when he says that after all this, he still only loves Simmons, Ada loses her goddamn mind. She freaks the fuck out like the worst psychotic ex-girlfriend birthed in the 10th circle of hell type freak out. This was fucking scary. How quickly she just snapped and turned murderously batshit. I mean, it was genuinely unnerving watching her transform into this lunatic rage monster. I kind of recoiled in my seat a little bit, like Jesus Christ, woman, chill the fuck out. God, Mallory Jansen was fucking amazing here. I mean, and really, I mean, what is it about Fitz and Simmons that causes stuff like this to happen? Okay, first, Simmons has a relationship with another dude, and that dude turns into an apocalyptically evil big bad. Then Fitz has a relationship with another woman, and she turns into an apocalyptically evil big bad. Is the show trying to tell us something here? I mean, these two should just stick with each other, probably, because every time they try dating outside of that box, things just go horribly wrong. And, yeah, so now Ada is just on a murderous rampage. But the reaction makes sense if you think about it. Ada's only been human for a few hours. Every sensation is brand new. She doesn't understand what all these feelings are. She looks like an adult woman, but emotionally she's like a baby. And you know how babies can be. They're cute and cuddly when they're happy, but when they want something, they gotta have it. Because when they don't get it, they go fucking nuts. So now you've got a woman with the powers of God knows how many Inhumans at her disposal, and the emotional maturity of an infant to keep them in check. So she has like zero impulse control, and the guy she's in love with just told her that he's in love with somebody else. Ada is going to kill everyone. And thanks to the Darkhold, she's actually got the power to do it. And she's so juiced up, the team have no way of stopping her. So after they introduce a villain like that, somehow they still manage to end on a triumphant note. Because obviously this is where Robbie comes in. The Darkhold is what caused all this, so I'm guessing the only way to put Ada down is with the Ghost Rider. Next week in the season finale. Whew. Emotional roller coaster of an episode here. I mean, no joke, Mallory Jansen bent this episode over the table and made it her bitch. I can't say enough about her performance. I mean, the writing was tight, character work was on point, there were happy moments, like sad, heartbreaking moments, terrifying moments, some cool twists. I mean, this is what you're supposed to do when you're going into your season finale, goddammit. You know what else? Shout out to the S.H.I.E.L.D. red shirts. I mean, normally on most shows, characters like this would just be there to feed the meat grinder and not much else. But, the writers actually gave these characters a lot of respect in this one. They've been around for a little while now. They helped save the team a couple times here. They were given something that resembles personalities. They still died, but I think Piper's the only one left now. But they went out like heroes, and their deaths weren't written off as cannon fodder. They actually meant something. So good for them. Alright, so that was S.H.I.E.L.D. Holy shit. No questions here. Haven't watched Arrow in a while. What happened to Diggle? Well, he got out of prison. So he's back on the team now. I have 3 small nitpicks about this episode. 1, why is it that when Gemma shoots Ada with the icer and knocks her out, but when she is shot with a gun, she just gets back up? Well, an icer and a gun are not the same thing. Well, clearly she has the ability to heal. So she can heal from bullet wounds, but an icer, you're basically injecting like a knockout drug into them, which is not quite the same. I agree that's a little bit of a stretch, but it's not like it's a difference between like healing a bullet wound and fighting off like a knockout drug or something. Maybe that's her powers just work slower that way. 2, they said Ada was afraid to help the others, but if Ada and Fitz both knew she couldn't be stopped, what was the problem? Well, the problem is she's only had human emotions for a couple of minutes at that point. Like I said, every sensation is brand new. So the idea of doing something that is in any way dangerous is going to freak her out because she doesn't know what this feeling is. So it's like it's not like a little kid learning to swim for the first time. The first time you get in the water, you're going to be scared because you've never done it before, or you're learning to dive like head first. It's freaky because you're not used to your body being upside down. It's just you have to grow accustomed to that feeling, and this is Ada. It's her first time experiencing all these emotions, so everything is hitting her really hard, and she's kind of overwhelmed by it. 3, why are emotions so unknown to Ada? Yes, she is a robot in the real world, but in the framework, she was 100% human. Shouldn't she have at least had a taste have at least a little bit used to them. They made this very clear. She may have been physically human in the framework, but she still lacked the human emotions. Yeah, they said that. I don't know. They didn't actually say it, but they alluded to it. It was clear that she was lacking the emotions that she wanted in the framework. Let's see. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is renewed for Season 5. All is right with the world, yet Gotham gets renewed. I've lost all faith in mankind. Okay, so there's one person who says that Gotham has not gotten better. Okay, good to know. People keep telling me Gotham's gotten better, Gotham's gotten better. Okay, good for Gotham, guys, but I'm still not watching it. Seems the whole time Coulson and May had feelings for each other but never realized it, and now thanks to LMD May, Coulson knows but May still doesn't. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't think they never realized it. I kind of think they were just kind of repressing it. Because we saw in the flashback episode where they were pretty close to hooking up, but then May met Andrew. It's like, oh, yeah, May was like, oh, yeah, I just got to get through this blind date or whatever with some psychologist guy, and then we can go out and do something. So if she hadn't met Andrew, they would have been a thing. So they were like this close. So my guess is they've just been like suppressing feelings the whole time. That's what they're going with. The Superior is based on this Ultimate Comics guy called Schizoid Man, a Russian, I think, who can multiply thanks to biotech stuff. Oh, interesting. Is he? Oh, all right. Yeah, I stopped reading the Ultimate Comics a while before they killed the line. Yeah, Ultimatum, that was it for me. I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Then they went and killed Ultimate Peter Parker, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to read these anymore. So that was it for me. So did he show up after that point? I didn't like how they left Mac in the framework. He could be shot while in the Matrix on the boat. Yeah, we had this discussion last week. How Daisy decided to respect his wishes and leave him in there because he wanted to stay. And some people felt that, well, he doesn't have his memories of the other world. She should just like punch him out, like knock him unconscious and throw him into the portal and bring him out. Because he can't really make an informed decision. But she was respecting his wishes because he wanted to stay with his daughter. Because the story is Mac goes from not thinking that the AIs are real people to now feeling like an AI is a real person. And that's the journey his character has taken. And there was going to be some contention there because some people are saying just push him in the damn portal. And I think they anticipated that, which is why they had Yo-Yo being the voice of those people. It's like just punch him out and throw him in the damn portal. Yeah, bring him back to the real world. He's in the fucking Matrix here. He doesn't know what he's saying. So, to anyone who was of that opinion, Yo-Yo was there to voice your concerns. And I'm glad they did that, because they're giving a voice to both sides of the argument there. Let's see. So Ada was always meant to be evil, or is the book making her like this? I think the implication is that she could have gone either way, but maybe the Darkhold kind of pulled her in one direction or another. Because Radcliffe did say that the Darkhold kind of corrupted the framework, because this was not his original intention for the framework. So, yeah, whatever Ada was meant to be, evil or not, it's a safe bet that the Darkhold has influenced her in one way or another. Ada was freaking annoying. Sorry, I can touch myself, LOL. Ada is annoying? Really? Wow, agree to disagree on that one. Let's see, Ada did great in this episode, and when she melts down, holy shit, that was something. Give this chick an Oscar. Let her teach the shithole liberals in Hollywood how it's done. Yeah. Yeah, it will really annoy me if she doesn't get some kind of recognition for her performance in this one, because goddamn, she was awesome. We can assume that she'll be done with the show after this season, because she's probably going to get killed off. But yeah, a lady who looks that hot, who is that good of an actress, yeah, she'll have another gig pretty quickly. Something like this on her reel, holy shit. You're okay. Sorry, Teddy Hart thinks my voice is annoying. Okay. Well, feel free to stop watching the live stream then. I'm always surprised how the Shield writers can read their fans' minds, and in this case, having Elena say exactly to Daisy what they were saying about knocking Mac out and throwing him in the portal out of the framework. I don't think it's that much of a. I don't think it's that big of a thing. It's just anticipating the reactions that some certain events are going to have. I mean, it was pretty much a given that you're going to have some fans, a more cynical number of fans who are going to say, just push him in the damn portal. He doesn't know what he's saying. He doesn't have his memories back. Then there's going to be another section of fans saying, who understand the character arc here. Oh, he thinks because hope is real to him. She feels real. She feels like a real person to him. He knows she's not technically real, but it doesn't matter. That's the journey. That's the character. Okay, so you're going to have these two different viewpoints, and they want to give a voice to both of them. And it really didn't take that much to kind of anticipate that you'd have these two different points of view. So, hey, yeah, it is nice that they did this. I think you can kind of see it coming, though. Mallory Jansen is going to get some work after she most likely gets killed off by Ghost Rider next week. Oh, yeah, she'll have no trouble getting another gig. As someone who was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid, I know what it's like to have a few too many emotions at a time. Yeah. When Simmons shot Fitz with the icer, I couldn't help but think, yeah, you had that coming after shooting her in the kneecap last week. Okay. Brett Dalton said he wasn't going to be in the finale next week. You think he's working us? Possibly. Sometimes they omit certain names from the press releases in order to keep things like that a secret. So it's possible. She reminded me of Karen Jarrett. Even as a murderous psychopath, Ada was more likable than Karen Jarrett. So, sadly, no one's perfect. They make good movies, better movies than DC is right now anyway. Any importance. Mallory Jansen has been a revelation. I hope she finds another role after her character arc on S.H.I.E.L.D. is over. She deserves it. I will miss her after next week. Oh, hell yeah. She's been great. She was great on Gallivant, too. Remember Gallivant? Only lasted 2 seasons. She was the evil queen on that show. Yeah, she was the bad guy. So she's very good at playing villains. Interestingly. I genuinely wanted Fitz to pick Ada over Simmons, just not because I'm sick of Simmons and her Mary Sue bullshit, but also because I wanted to see Fitz have a heel turn. Really? Everything he did in the framework wasn't enough? Man, you've been beating this drum for a while. You might have to let this one go, dude. I just don't think it's going to happen. Like, I wanted him to just straight up betray the team, and even Ada is kind of shocked at it. Maybe a little put off by this heel turn, and then he drops the mic and teleports out with her. Yeah, you think you need to let this one go, dude. Sorry. S.H.I.E.L.D. renewed is great news. It will have 5 seasons and over 100 episodes, which by network standards goes in the books as a successful series. Yeah. Yeah, I was really hoping they would get 5 seasons. I think I've heard this somewhere. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think the producers said that they had 5 seasons mapped out when they started the series originally. So that's kind of what I was shooting for. I was like, if they get 5 seasons, then I'm good. I mean, I'd love for them to have more than 5, but 5, I could be happy with that. They could tell the story they set out to tell, and maybe they can wrap things up in a satisfying way. And then, you know what? I'm good. I'll have closure. So 5 seasons, that's a good number, I think. It's a lot more than a lot of other shows get. See, I want S.H.I.E.L.D. in Season 5 to just go crazy with a crossover, time to bring the TV side of the MCU together with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Punisher, Squirrel Girl, Cloak and Dagger, and finally the Inhumans. Well, Squirrel Girl is going to be a cartoon, so that could be complicated. Cloak and Dagger, I guess, is a possibility. If they can make the schedules line up. I don't know. Anyone from the Netflix series that's probably pushing it. Certainly, Inhumans is very likely. They'll be on the same network, possibly even the same night. So I think it would be ridiculous if we didn't get some kind of crossover because they both deal heavily with the Inhuman storyline. So I think it just makes sense to cross those over. Yeah. Okay. Why they give her Nightcrawler powers then not? I don't understand your question. Fitz and Simmons have bad taste in other people. Yeah, definitely. So Ada loses her evil streak because she became human. God knows how. What? No, she gained an evil streak because she became human. In part because she became human. Also because she's been corrupted by the Darkhold and other things as well. Speaking of, Counter-Earth still exists, so that means that maybe Ward can come to our Earth with the little girl whose name escapes me. Hope. Her name is Hope. And I guess that is a possibility. If they're talking about making the framework like the new reality, then I guess it is possible to bring Framework Ward into the real world. Also, Hope. I'm kind of crossing my fingers that Hope ends up in the real world. That would be cool. So Mac finally gets to be a dad. So yeah, I guess I guess that's all on the table. Because Ada has that machine that can create new bodies for framework AIs to jump into. So I guess it's all a possibility. Which Inhuman could teleport in the TV show? Gordon. It was a Season 2 character. Yeah, he was a teleporter. They referenced him in this episode. So that was a Season 2 thing. So she gave herself Gordon's powers. So anything that doesn't make sense, just point to the Darkhold. What doesn't make sense about this? It's been established since very early in the series that the Darkhold is bad news and can fuck up a lot of shit. Whole thing makes sense to me. God damn it, 2/3 of the red shirts are gone. Don't think Piper is going to make it next week. Well, possibly. She seems to be the one that got the most attention. So I think it's possible they might want to use her next season. Who knows? I believe they introduced her last season too. Yeah, she's actually been around since last season. Yeah, this was so much better than Arrow and Flash for their pre-season finale stories. They went out of the way they needed to press the story home, right? Leaving the black guy in the framework was a plot device for Ada, and how is he not dead from getting unplugged like that? Well, if you want to get technical, it was a plot device for Ada to do something good and kind of tease that she was going over to the right side. It also made sense for Mac's character to stay in the framework. And he's not dead because they didn't unplug him. If you look carefully, when Ada teleported them all into the Zephyr, she had Mac, and you also had like the framework mainframe, that big box that came with him. That was the framework, like where all like the data is stored. So he's technically still plugged in. So he doesn't have. It makes sense. He's still alive. Doesn't have brain damage or anything because he was never unplugged from the framework. I actually thought that too. Originally, I had to go back and rewatch it and I say, oh no, they got the mainframe there. Okay, he's still plugged in. Yeah, when Ada screamed, wow, I recoiled in shock. Girlfriend recoiled in shock. The dog next door recoiled in shock. The guy next door recoiled in shock. Yeah, that was a pretty great moment, wasn't it? I think the Russian might be the MCU version of MODOK. My reasons are, 1, MODOK is a little more than a head in a floating chair, and now so is the Russian, and 2, when Ophelia threatened to kill him, he said this body is designed only for killing, which is what MODOK, the D-O-K in MODOK stands for. I thought it stood for conquest. There are some similarities. And, it wouldn't be the first time the show did, like, a slightly different variation of a comics character. Like, earlier in the season, they did a character that was basically Nitro from the comics. They just gave him a different name for reasons unknown. So, maybe, I don't know, I kind of hope it's not MODOK, because I'm holding out hope that we might see the actual MODOK in the MCU at some point. Legends of Tomorrow has also gotten so much better. They kind of acknowledged some of the stupid shit they used to do. It's basically a comedy now. Okay. So you keep saying. I'm still not watching it. He said this, let's see. Ultimatum was when I stepped out, but the Ultimates 3 kind of killed it, frankly. Oh yeah, Ultimates 3 was fucking horrible. The finale gotta deliver lots of things, gotta be addressed in a 42 minutes. Ghost Rider versus Ada, gotta kill the Superior, stop the army of Daisy LMDs, get Mac out, resolve all the love interest plots. I guess we could assume the Daisy LMDs all got blown up with the rest of the base. Would be cool if at least one of them escaped, though, and is still running around somewhere, because that'd be a cool storyline next season. How there's an evil robot Daisy out there somewhere. What a great way to destroy Daisy's public image. Now that she's kind of like the S.H.I.E.L.D. poster girl. World's angriest man. Only when I'm reviewing The Flash. View of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. You know what? I will talk about Guardians Volume 2 momentarily. Ada trying to bang the Superior at the end was too creepy for me. She tried to bang him for a second there, and then she settled for just banging his head open. Like a melon. Let's see, the SJWs are full of shit because they say heterosexuality is a social construct, but your point... Alright. If you watch Legends, you will understand the Flash a bit more. Wouldn't count on it. This is a Flash question. Okay. I don't read the Flash comic books. Is Barry in the comics as much of an asshole as he is in the TV show? I don't read the Flash comics. I would assume he's probably more likable in the comics, but I couldn't tell. I wouldn't be the one to ask. Okay. So if you want to ask off-topic stuff, go ahead. Alright, so I guess Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2. Okay, so I saw this last weekend. Really enjoyed it. I think this was the funniest Marvel movie so far. Uh, Before that, for me, it was probably Ant-Man. Not that the first Guardians wasn't funny, but Ant-Man, I just preferred the comedy in that one. But I think Guardians 2, this is now the funniest. There were a lot of laugh out loud moments, and a lot of really touching moments too. Angry Joe said made a point that it's a rare movie that can have you laughing out loud 1 minute and tearing up the next, and this movie does it. There's a lot of really touching moments here. It's really funny stuff. There's a Pac-Man gag at one point that had me I laughed so fucking hard at that. No spoilers though, but um, yeah, I try not to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. But yeah, as funny as it is, I think my favorite parts were the more serious bits. Like, I really loved the relationship between Gamora and Nebula, which gets touched on a lot more. Um, because they get some really cool stuff there, and I love that whole relationship that kind of develops by the end of it. I think because they may like hate each other's guts sometimes, but they're still sisters at the end of the day, and that's the theme of this movie. I think the first one was about the Guardians becoming a team, and then this one is about them becoming a family, and that's a definite theme throughout the whole thing. We get Peter meeting his dad, and that's in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler, and and yeah, so that's a really big thing, and it kind of ties back into a lot of the themes that were established in the first one, having all these like issues with parental figures, with his mom and with Yondu, and now with Kurt Russell's character, and things that were established in the first one really pay off here in some really surprising ways, especially with Yondu. He gets a lot. He gets a really kind of some heartfelt stuff here, which I did not expect. But yeah, you didn't think they were setting something up in the first one, but they were, and they kind of do a few swerves here and realize, oh wait, this relationship was there the whole time, and you just didn't really notice it, and it makes for some really touching stuff. And also, I mean, there's on a technical level, this is really impressive too. There's a scene. There's a shot in the first one, and not in the first one. Yeah, in like the opening scene, or like one of the opening scenes. In the first couple of minutes, we saw this in the trailer where they're fighting that giant creature, that tentacled creature with a huge mouth and like 8 arms, like that giant space octopus thing. You saw that in the trailer. During this scene, this is like the big title sequence. And it goes on for like, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5 minutes or something. And it's all one shot, like one continuous shot. And according to James Gunn, that shot took them 2 years to plan. And it shows. Because this shot is amazing. Like the whole title sequence, all one shot. The camera is just like going, it's a really impressive piece of filmmaking there. So I just had to point that out because I'm a geek for that type of stuff. But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie a lot. It's doing gangbusters at the box office, so my guess is a lot of other people did too. Yeah, it feels like one of the most personal Marvel movies because of the themes of like family and stuff like that. It's I think it's definitely the funniest one. And yeah, visually it's pretty jaw-dropping at times too. So I would highly recommend Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That was a really, really good movie. Really, really well done. Well done, James Gunn. I'm glad he's doing the third one too. Maybe it's a swerve and Ward or Hunter will save Yo-Yo. Yeah, possibly, but she's still got to get out. And, well, she's got to find Mac. Yeah, and Mac knows where the back door out of the framework is, but they'd need Daisy to open the door, because there's a vat of molten steel over the portal. So I'm not sure how she's going to get out. Or maybe she'll just decide to stay in there with Mac, which would kind of suck. I want all of them out of the framework. I'm not sure how they're going to get out of there. I guess they got to send Daisy back in. See, after Guardians Volume 2, I don't think people can talk about Marvel's villain problem anymore or say there is no meaningful deaths. Watch careful with the spoilers there. But yeah, the villain was one of the better villains. I mean, if there's a continual if there's an ongoing weakness in all the Marvel movies is that their villains aren't usually very interesting. They usually go with like the two-dimensional, I want to conquer the world because evil type bad guy. Like your prototypical Muahaha type of villain. This villain, the villain of this movie, and I'm not going to say what it is because it's kind of a surprise, but the villain of this movie has a lot more color to it. There are shade. It's not all like stereotypically evil. There's, it's more of an ambiguous type of thing. So it's more of a complex villain than we're used to seeing. So definitely one of the better villains that they've done. They did a great job on Ego. I was surprised that they went there and had his dad be Ego instead of Yondu as they implied. Yeah, they did, but in a way, it was kind of the other way too. Again, no spoilers. But yeah, I laughed and cried genuinely in this movie, which is a rarity for me. Let's see, I see what type of fanboy you are. Do you? Careful with the spoilers, guys. That Mary Poppins line from Guardians Volume 2 is going to live on for at least 10 years. I don't know. I think if anything lives on in infamy, it'll be Taserface, but Mary Poppins line was good. It's good too. Who tries to use Star-Lord's energy? Okay, we got some spoilers here, which I'm not going to mention because some people don't like that. I was actually glad to see Nebula. Okay, all right. Which line is funnier? It's Science Biatch or I'm Mary Poppin' ya? I'm going to say the Mary Poppins one. Just because I think it was... Man, I like the Science Biatch thing too. I don't know. I think the Mary Poppins one was kind of a little more... felt a little more out of nowhere to me. It kind of caught me off guard. So I think that was... Which made it funnier, I guess. I don't know. Suicide Squad was better. Okay, I agree to disagree on that one. I kind of enjoyed Suicide Squad, but it was in spite of the problems that movie had. Because there was definitely a lot of tonal inconsistencies in Suicide Squad. The script was not as strong as it should have been because it was written in a big hurry. And there were a lot of holes in the plot that they tried to cover up with weird editing. I still think it turned out okay, but now Guardians was definitely a more cohesive, tonally consistent, and entertaining film overall, in my opinion. But hey, you preferred Suicide Squad? Okay. You should start doing live reactions on The Flash. I don't know. I'm not really good with live reactions. I kind of need to think about something after I see it and kind of like take notes and kind of plan out what I'm going to say. I'm not really good with live reactions. That's why I don't do trailer reactions. Because I tried to do one once and I realized I kind of sucked at it. Let's see, that ending. No spoilers, but wow, did I cry when blank, something I'm not going to say because spoilers. But yeah, that was really sad when that thing that happened. Was it the best Stan Lee cameo? Yes or no without spoilers? I'm going to say yes. I did not expect Stan Lee to show up in that way. That was pretty cool. And okay, now I'll give it another minute here. It looks like we're about done for the night. And I found a site where you can play like old school video games. I've been playing the original Metroid for the NES. I'm in the middle of a game right now, so I kind of want to get back to that. You don't have to talk, just film yourself watching. Yeah, well, the thing about that is I'm not one of these people who watch a trailer and like freak out and make a lot of comments during the trailer, because I kind of want to be silent and just take everything in, and I don't want to miss anything. That's just the way I view stuff. So if I was filming myself as I was watching, it probably wouldn't be very interesting, because I'd just be watching like the whole video would just be me doing this. So I suppose I could try it, but I just don't think it would turn out very well. Okay. And still want to see your honest reactions. You know, if I could figure out how to do those trailer reaction videos, I guess I could give it a shot. I'm kind of a neophyte when it comes to that stuff, so I'm not sure how to do that when you put the video up on the screen as you're watching it. I'm not sure how to do that. It's probably easier than I think. And I imagine I could find it like a how-to video somewhere on here if I applied myself. So if I could figure out how to do it, I guess I could give it a shot. I'd like to. But my thinking is I just wouldn't be very good at it, because I'm not good at giving like spontaneous reactions. I have to kind of plan things out and think about it for a while afterward. But yeah, would be nice to give it a shot though. And I think that's where we'll call it quits for tonight. I want to get back to my game here and then get something to eat. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. We only got a couple more comic show live streams left. I think, I don't know, 2 or 3 more, and then that'll be it for this. That'll be it for this season. But we still got the Impact streams going every week. I believe the next one will be on Saturday. I don't think I'm working Saturday, so it should be starting on Saturday afternoon at some point. So follow me on Twitter at @TheRealFK9 for the notice when the streams are about to start. And I will talk to you guys this weekend. Over. Out.